like to introduce you, Blake Wittmann. It's the German
Wittmann. Sehr gut.
Blake, I met him in TEDx, TEDx UNIP this year when you spoke about your incredible story, what happened to you during skiing.
Yeah.
Of course, you are a very successful businessman, entrepreneur. You have your own company. What is the name?
Good call. Good group.
Good call.
I'm one of the 4 owners.
Good call.
Exactly.
Do you know how to call?
Many people think that we're like a telemarketing or phone calling business. No, recruitment. We do the best recruitment in Central Europe, the most unique and innovative. Yes.
Okay, because I was making the big improvement of our company that I took 400 hotels in Prague and I called them on the cold contacts.
Really?
And I made maybe 50, 60 meetings and we really improved our revenues.
Wonderful.
And I started like this.
Wonderful.
I heard your story and 1 year ago you have been totally smashed, crashed.
Horizontal.
But you are a sportsman, and today I would like more to speak about the correlation between business and sport, and how the people who, for example, really love their sport, how they can apply it to business. And of course, your story, how you applied it, that you really told on TEDx, in TEDx UNIP, if you put TEDx UNIP, Blake Wittmann, but it's not now available.
Not yet.
It will be available in 1 month, couple of
weeks.
weeks. It's really incredible. I will give you then the link. You have to hear it because I have new hero. Your wife and you, that Blakes are now my new heroes because when I heard it, it was so strong. Can you tell me how it happened? I know that you already told it.
Sure. I've told the story
Many
literally
times.
hundreds of times. I even have it recorded on my phone.
Really?
Because as I was getting out of the hospital and people started hearing about it, everyone wanted to know what happened. So I recorded a video about 2 or 3 minutes long that I would just send to people and say, if you have questions, let me know afterwards.
No, but I do not want to make it long. I just want to know that you were really...
Yeah. So I was in Austria in March of last year, 18 months ago.
Okay.
And I was a professional level skier. So I was a ski instructor in Austria before. And I've always skied very, very fast and hard and aggressive, but in control, always in control. And even this time, I was fully in control. I went to a place on piste, Nasiesdovce, where I expected to find rough and ungroomed snow, which is fine for me. It's not nice, but I can handle it. And in the worst case, I fall and whatever. I've fallen literally 1,000 times. But instead of rough and ungroomed snow, there was only no snow, rock, for some reason. I won't get into, there should have been signs that should have been marked off. That's neither here nor there, it doesn't matter now. But it was just pure rock. I landed it by the way, I didn't fall then. Okay. But my momentum pulled me over and I rolled, smashed and tumbled 20, 30, 40 times, probably going 60 kilometers an hour on rock. And yeah, when I finished, I was in pieces, almost in pieces. 15 broken bones, from my neck all the way down. My legs were shattered into pieces. The femur was broken in half twice and sticking out at a 90-degree angle. My kids were there, helped me to even turn over. The ski patrol arrived. Interestingly, the first thing they said when they arrived, because I remember everything, is they said, this is him, this is the guy from before. And 5 hours before, I had helped someone who fell. Being an ex-ski instructor, I saw a guy fall. It didn't look good. I went over and helped him. He was bad, so I called the ski patrol. They came, they asked me if I'm a ski instructor. I said, no, I'm just a guy helping out. And they said, you're not good, you've broken your collarbone, we'll call the helicopter. So I left. 5 hours later, the same guys came to me and called a helicopter for me.
No way.
So that's the interesting story. So yeah, they had to put me into a coma because I was beyond saving in that state. They tried to wake me up after about 3 or 4 days and I was not ready. So 3 weeks later, they woke me up. I had about 7 surgeries, a lot of issues, a lot of internal infections during the coma that put me on the edge twice. At one point, they called my wife in, I think on day 3, and said, if he has children, they should come and see him, just in case. So it was extremely serious. But from the time I woke up while I did have a couple moments, I had a few hours when I saw my kids for the first time later in Prague, because this was all in Innsbruck. After they transferred me to Prague and I saw my kids for the first time, I was extremely emotional. I was rather apologetic for putting them through all of this hell. But for the next 5 months, I was in a pretty good mood. I mean, I just had this idea that that I'm going to make it somehow. And by the way, by make it, I didn't really know if I would walk, honestly. I didn't know. But that, for some reason, it didn't worry me at that point. I was just focused on, you know, day to day, learning how to turn on my side finally, because that was horrible to be horizontal for so long. And eventually I did, you know, learn how to stand, walk, eat, all of that again.
Okay, but you are sportsman. All your
My whole
life, you are like used
sport.
to be like very above the average.
Absolutely. I mean, yes. Every sport from bowling to tennis, skiing to ice hockey, football, American football, baseball, basketball, lacrosse. I played every sport.
It's crazy because when I saw you the first time, I thought, okay, this guy is like good in shape. Like, and you have been like 15 months or 17 months after you almost died several times.
Yes.
And you know, if I see the people, because I like to speak about our physique, how we are fine with our body, etc. Because then if we are fine with our body, we can a little bit go higher with our spirituality, or we can, it's my way, maybe more like men way, that the women intuition way. But I cannot imagine, I cannot do anything. Like, and I am in the good mood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because before, if you, for example, didn't do anything for 2 weeks, you had to be very nervous.
I would go crazy. I would go absolutely crazy. Look, when I woke up, my bicep was the size of my wrist. I was down to 55 kilos. I looked like a Holocaust survivor. I said for a while, I mean, and not to be that funny, but if there's a movie about Terezin being made, I can be the star, because I really looked like, I looked like somebody from the Holocaust. I've been to Terezin, I had even family, but...
I saw the photos.
Yeah,
you have
so
them
I looked like it. But even though I was, and still am, an athletic person who likes to be active, I like to use my body. What I figured out as well, and many people have kind of told me this, I think if you take care of your body will take care of you. And I took care of my body. Now, I have the gift of good genetics. I have very, very high metabolism from my mother. I have wide shoulders and good muscular form from my father. So I'm kind of, I won the DNA genetics lottery, no question. But I also worked at it. I worked at it always. Small workouts almost every day, 5 to 10 minutes, but something almost every single day. Even if it's 100 jumping jacks, some push-ups, body weight, something to keep myself active. And I think through a lot of that, my body later on thanked me. Muscle memory, adding things when I was ready. But it also, while I was in the coma and just afterwards, my body also decided to take everything it could. And that's why I went from 80 plus kilos to 55 kilos in 4 weeks. It shows you, though, that I reminded my family members who I would see coming and going, and even many people who I know are not that active, that whether we know it or not, we are maintaining muscle mass just by standing up and sitting, just by walking. Even if you just walk to your car in the parking lot, whether you know it or not, you're still maintaining your muscle mass somehow. And of course, if you want to really add it, you need to work at it. But just staying normally active by sitting and standing, you keep it. Because I didn't do that for 4 weeks, and my body showed me that I didn't move. Because there was probably a week or two where I literally didn't move a single muscle, really, other than I was paralyzed as well for a week or so. So I moved nothing. Yeah, it was strange for me, but I also understood that I have different priorities now. My priorities are not to get active and to add my muscle back. My priority is to learn how to hold my neck again. My priority is to learn how to use my fingers and my hands. My priority is to start eating solid foods again, because I didn't eat for a long time. I had a feeding tube. So I had to learn how to eat food again, which I did not want to do for a while. It was not.
You didn't want to eat?
No. I was very anti-food for a while because it caused me a lot of problems. A lot of problems. I did not want to eat. And I knew I had to. I kind of fought it for a day or two and then finally started doing it. Yeah, I understood that my priorities were completely different than they had been before. And that was okay with me. That was completely okay with me. I took each of those as little mini, marathons to overcome and achieve.
Okay, and I have a totally different question now, but if you compare yourself before and now, okay, you have the different priorities, but have you been, for example, because I understood that maybe if you have better physique now, then all the body can serve you better if you are injured. I know that if you are better in shape, you are stronger. You are strong enough. I feel it that I can be more confident or competent, confident. Yeah. But if you are speaking about these priorities, what is the most different? So what who you are now, and you are not you can compare yourself with the old Blake.
I've been asked similar questions a few times, and I'll disappoint you in one area. What I was told, even when I kind of woke up, was that I had good balance before my accident. I worked hard. I was very active. But I also took good time for my family. I went on dates with my wife. I took my kids to all their sports and tried to watch all of their games. I tried to spend time with my friends outside of work.
Even before?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. As I said in my speech, that before my accident and even when I became a ski instructor at 19, I had a kind of an internal mantra to be world-class at loving life. And for me, partly it means working hard and being successful, but it also means sharing that success with the people around me and not just kind of going too crazy with work, for example. So I think, and like I said, my family backs this up, I had good balance before. So what didn't happen to me is I didn't wake up from this coma, get out of the hospital and say, I need to change my life. Oh my God, what am I doing?
Well, but it's great. It's great. I'm happy for this. Like
me too. Me
it's
too.
Great.
So that's a good thing. On the other hand, I also start to understand that, having discomfort, that's part of life as well. And you can have emotional discomfort and stress. You can have physical. I have a bit of both. Today, as I walked in here, when I woke up this morning, I have it. In my legs, shoulder still, neck is somehow okay, and various other things. That's part of what I live with. And I understand that my priorities, and when we have, for example, issues at work or in the office, there are times where I say to myself, this is nothing. This is nothing. We can do this. Just, remember what you've been through. Remember what it took to learn how to stand up again. That was very challenging. Now I understand what babies go through. I really...
Okay, you already experienced this.
Exactly, twice. I learned how to stand twice. Once
but now more consciously.
Exactly. And I was even thinking in my TED Talk about doing a theme of kind of being reborn, learning how to stand, learning how to talk, learning how to eat, learning how to speak, because I had to learn a new language, a new Czech language that I didn't understand
it's a very good accomplishment from you as a guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I already spoke Czech. I just had to learn a completely new vocabulary, words that I had never heard before.
I know, but even before that you accomplished because it's
that
not,
I was lucky because my wife forced me to learn. I mean, she spoke no English, so that was my only way to have a relationship with her. I still recognize that there's small things and there's big things. And most of the stuff at work we take as big. It's actually small. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't take it seriously. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't say, we've got to do this and work hard. Quite the opposite, we should. But I think sometimes we take a problem that seems in our minds to be this big. And in reality, you know, when you think you're going to be paralyzed, that's a problem that's this big. When you have an issue with a client, it's probably more like this big or even this big. And if you take it like that, sometimes I find it even easier to solve the problem because it doesn't overwhelm me. I stress about it, sure, but I don't stress like I would in the past. And that has changed with me.
This is the change.
What hasn't changed is my approach to life. I would say what's changed is that I appreciate tiny things. Every single morning to this day, and it's been it's been probably 15 months since I learned to stand again. I still stand up, I get out of my bed, and for about half a second, I tell myself, this is really cool. Because I remember the first time I stood up and couldn't balance, and had to learn that balance again, thinking, how do babies do this? This is really freaking hard.
But they are much like lower.
Exactly.
It's easier for them.
Which makes it even more scary, you know, at my height, 185, 188, where to actually balance. So I still have that little bit of wonder. Wow, this is cool.
Hey, if it's working.
If it's
how
working.
it's working.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, it means like gratitude.
Major gratitude for little things. Yeah.
I understand you. Like of course, I was very lucky not to experience what you experienced. But for example, what we experience in our business, and sometimes you are like making like really big elephant, and you are telling it's so huge, and you are stressed, and then just to go. And what do you do? Like, because for you, for example, if I try to understand it, for me, of course, if you just imagine this crazy time, then you couldn't even eat or something. Of course, if you compare it to some screaming guy or client, it's nothing. Just this joke.
Sure.
But it was not same before. I think that before it was really big.
True.
This screaming client.
Absolutely. True.
What would you recommend, like, to people? Because you know now, if somebody is lucky. Lucky. I think that this gratitude is very hardly given to you, or not, or you got it for a really very high price. Yeah, of course, it's incredible you did it, and it's like great you did it. But what you would recommend to people who are really with the anxiousness and this, and how to help them, like not to be anxious, like some not recipe. I know that it's not working recipe, but what would you do?
You know, even in my TED talk, I talked about it. I think one of the first things is to understand that there's good ways and there's bad ways of falling. And I think a bad way is when we fight too hard. And by the way, you know, in some of the talks that I do now, I remind people that I'm a big believer in fighting. And in fighting really, really hard. But you have to think, when is the right time? And sometimes in the middle of your fall, it's the wrong time. But quite often, in the middle of some, you know, catastrophe, our thought is, stop the bleeding, right? You've got to stop the bleeding. But if you try and stop the bleeding in the wrong place, you're going to cause more. Stop the bleeding in the right time and in the right place. And in my case, I chose to fight after the fall. Not during, literally, yeah. I let myself fall. That was part of my talk. I actually allowed my body to do it. And I chose to reserve my fighting for later on. And sometimes when we're looking at some issue in the office, catastrophe at work, some massive thing with the customer, before we even understand what is the problem, who's at fault, of course we always want to we're already trying to solve it. And I think one of the best things we can do is simply allow, in certain cases, allow the fall, allow it to happen. Just let's look at it then, and then we can do what I talk about also in the TED Talk, to go through the acceptance. Okay, so this sucks. Yes, it definitely sucks. But what happened, and how can we start kind of going through it to understand it, and plan our course of action for later? Quite often we have these almost visceral, knee-jerk reactions to things, and it causes much more problems, much more. But our initial natural reaction is fix it, go.
Immediately.
Go fix it. You
Make
know,
it now.
as I talk, you're tumbling down the mountain, climb back up. You say, "But no, it's not always the right move. Sometimes it is, and I've had many cases in my life where even before I hit the bottom, I'm climbing back my way back up, and nobody ever knew I was even tumbling down. And there were situations where that's the right course of action, but there's also times where, and to answer your next question, when to do what? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know when is the right time
No, I
to
wouldn't
fight.
ask you. I wouldn't
Okay.
ask you. But it would be a good question to ask.
When do you fight immediately and when do you just wait and think? I don't know. But I do know that usually you'll have this gut feeling that now is not the time.
I wanted to tell kind of intuition and to be like
I think
more.
so. I think so. Because I'm convinced that if I would have fought hard during my fall, I think I would be dead. I just have this feeling that that was not the right way to do it.
Okay, but because I am not English native speaker, for this reason it's sometimes not all the nuances I can understand 100%. For this reason, when I heard your TED Talk,
Yeah.
of course not all the points maybe I understood. And for this reason, maybe this is kind of explanation for the people who will see it.
Yeah.
When you fell, you were like falling on purpose without any trying to like.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
How you made it, like just you.
Well, I wouldn't say that I felt on purpose, although I did allow
No,
myself to fall.
I know, but
But
then
then I relaxed, and I just let my body.
even it was like so painful.
It wasn't painful.
It was not painful.
Not at that point. No,
Really,
no. And I just let myself fall.
but you didn't know what will happen.
No, I didn't. But I allowed whatever was going and meant to happen would, and it did. Paramedics say that people who are drunk and babies are usually the ones that survive falls.
The fools,
Yep.
like the.
And in a way, you know, call me the fool. But
Not the fool, like the
yeah.
kind of the fool
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you are drunk, then
Yeah.
you are not consciousness.
Exactly. You're not. You don't tense up too much. And in my case, I allowed myself to just very relax, to tumble and smash. But I think it saved my life by not being too tense and having things be much worse. And that's my analogy when we're failing or falling. That sometimes before we even understand what is the fall, and maybe could this fall teach us something? And because we're so immune to this idea, we have this natural reaction. Oh, it's a failure. Stop it.
Yeah.
Well, could we learn from it? Could we actually look? Oh no, he's already fixed it. It's done. You say, I mean, look at all the things that have been created in the world from failures. Chewing gum, for example, was a total failure. Yeah, they were trying to make something else, and they created this interesting, almost rubbery-like something. Not that chewing gum has changed the world, but there's lots of examples of great inventions and steps for mankind that have come through failure. And so if we always try to stop it before it even really starts, I don't think that's always a good thing. Now, if you're in a business and you say, we're going to lose a ton of money on this, I get that. Yeah, that makes sense. But a lot of the issues that I see happening in the office from a day-to-day basis, I think by allowing certain things to happen and learn from. I was just having lunch the other day with Martin Howlings, expat CZ, and he was saying that he would actually like the people to go try something, see how you do it. I'm not going to tell you exactly how, but see how you get it done. Are you going to fail occasionally? You might. But listen, I mean, and this is now me talking, but if you do what's called ring fencing and saying you can fail, but you're not going to bankrupt the company because it's within this. You know, you fail small, fail small, fail often. Yeah, but as the Amistad music guys at the TEDx said, you know, fall forward. Fall forward.
Like
again and again.
Denzel Washington is telling.
Yeah, he says the same.
When I want to fall, I want to fall where I see it.
Exactly.
I don't want to fall on my back.
Correct. Correct. So my big message that I came out with is that falling is not always a failure. It's not always a retreat. It can actually be, in a way, falling forward. You can learn a lot from it. We need to be aware how to fall, where you're falling, what you're doing. And if you already have the mindset which sometimes makes it even more difficult. But if you've got that sports mentality mindset,
Yeah.
that athlete mindset, that competitive spirit, sometimes it's difficult because you say, no, I won't fall. Absolutely not.
But it's more ego. It's not the sport mindset.
But
No?
I've taught my kids from the day we started skiing, if you don't fall, I would ask them, at the end of the day, did you fall today? No. I said, then you didn't push yourself hard enough.
Yeah, you didn't go for it.
You
to
didn't
your
push
limits.
yourself hard enough.
Yeah.
You've got to fall each time. Now, I'm exaggerating. I don't think you have to. But you should be falling from time to time. It's a good thing. You shouldn't be falling and breaking bones every time. But, as I've said, I've fallen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times on skis. And never, ever have I sprained or hurt anything.
But then you made something like really good.
And then I did the big one.
Like everything for the 1,000.
Exactly.
Because it was not enough.
Exactly. I did the bomba. I did the real one.
The real one.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I had some question related to this and I forgot it. If you now, like, are you more now in intuition? Like more like that because if you are in the fight, you are all the time kind of on the edge. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you are fighting, and if you are not going to fail, it's not enough for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but because, for example, for me, I like to be on the edge, but I feel that sometimes, maybe this is the answer, what I would ask you, but I'm not asking you, but if you are really listening yourself now, you know that today is not the day for falling, but then you know that someday you are kind of ready, and even you can make in the business very difficult decision. But for example, today is not the day.
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. Yeah, absolutely. So there are times, and I'll use my body as the example. There are days when I know today's not a good day. There's something going on with the legs, ankle's bad, something's going on. Today's not a good day. Now, I can still usually work pretty well, but I know I'm not at 100%. There's other days where I push myself. The other day I realized, I was in the gym and I realized that I think I could do lunges, jumping lunges again. Jumping or burpees, anglichaki.
Anglichaki, yeah.
So I can do some version of burpees. Yeah. There's other days where
it's like burn.
Yeah,
you burn them.
Yeah, well, for me it's more like the body is like, what are you doing, Blake? But there's days when I can say, shut up. We're going through this.
You feel it.
Yeah, and we go.
And did you have this before? Or you have been in so good shape that you didn't need to make it?
Before I could really push through it kind of whenever I wanted. Now, I don't always push through it. I don't. I recognize that there's certain places that I can take my body, and there's certain places that just doesn't, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Because I appreciate my life right now. I appreciate everything I have. I still want a little bit more. So I'm going skiing in 3 weeks. I have it booked for the 28th of December.
Really? Where?
To Austria.
To Austria. Yeah. Again?
Yeah, not to Brixental, but to a different place. My wife is not happy about it. She said to me, is it worth it? And I said, Milachko, listen. The chances that in normal skiing that you would break anything are very, 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 very small. What I did is a 1 in a million situation, the amount of damage I did to myself. And the type of skiing I'm going to be doing now,
it's the blue one.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's 10 levels below how I used to ski, and I'm okay with that. I just kind of need to know for me, can I still do it? And if I flip that over into work and business, I still think we all need to test ourselves sometimes and push ourselves. There's times when you start to realize, just like I do with my body, this is not smart. And here, we talk about burnout or people really just losing it, where they can't handle it anymore. And I completely respect that because my body tells me the same thing. My body tells me this is not smart. It's very possible that when I go skiing, my legs, the boots, the way my foot is crooked, I may not be able to really ski properly. It's possible. I don't believe it. I think I'll figure out a way. and I still plan to get it corrected and maybe another surgery in my ankle so I can get some more forward flex. That'll help me with walking. It'll help me with hopefully less pain. It'll help me with being able to do some sports and activities. But if for some reason it's too much of a risk, I won't do it. And as my father used to ask and request, I only ask that you do your best. But be honest with how much your best is.
Yeah, because sometimes the
we
people
lie
are
to
doing, we are
ourselves.
doing our best,
It's my
and
best.
it's not the best.
And the people who know them say, that's really your best? You know, go into a room by yourself, look in the mirror and tell yourself that's 100% your best. I don't believe it. Maybe it's 80%, maybe it's 90%, but I don't believe it's 100%. So I will try and I'll try my best. And I believe mentally I'm ready to accept many things that I can't do. I'm ready to accept it now, right? I used to like to play tennis and other things. I can't do that. I used to, well, I never liked running, but I used to be able to run before. I can't run now. The ankles don't work. I can imagine a life without that. I can. Because again, I remember a life when I couldn't stand.
Of course.
So I can imagine a life without running. A life without skiing would be tough for me. It's a big part of my life.
Your big love.
I've been doing it for 43 years. I'm 46. I've started 2.5. I started when I, 2.5. So I've been skiing for a very, very long time. It's part of who I am. It's part of our family. It's one of the things that we do together.
It's DNA.
Every year, 3, 4, 5 times, 6 times we go skiing. So to not have that would be tough. I won't lie. But again, there's really, really important things, and there's kind of important things. And honestly, skiing, even with the family, it's kind of important. Because there's other things we could do in the winter, in the mountains, Austria. There's other things we could do. I would prefer to ski. But look, again, it's like we have employees or something. Yeah, I really want to do this. I prefer to do that. But if we request you and the client needs you to do this, can you? Yes, I could. Thank you. That's what we're going to need now. We'll work on something where you can try and, do that skill or try this out. But we need you to consider what's absolutely crucial for us, for our candidates, for our clients. Sure, I would love to design my job so that I can only do what I love. And I think everybody should try to do that, but it's not going to happen that you have a job where you do 99 things that you love and only one thing that you don't love. It's not realistic.
Okay, it's true. Yeah.
We're taught quite often, though, the opposite, right? I mean, especially in the last 5 or 10 years. Do what you love, find a job. And I agree, and I coach people on it that they should find something that gives them some inner satisfaction. But there will always be parts of certain jobs and roles and tasks and activities that suck.
It's true.
I think sometimes
even if you love everything, you have to do something you do not like. And at the end, it's good because again, you see the difference between to be very satisfied and not satisfied. Because sometimes, maybe I'm getting older. I'm 42, and sometimes I do not understand the younger generation, and they are just telling we want just to home office, sit, everything fine, marketing, influencer, the best is influencer.
Yes.
And they do not see what is behind, because to be influencer, I think that normal person doesn't want to be, because it's crazy. But we are like very on just very shallow, position, and we do not see what is deep.
I'm very worried that even on the shallow idea, I'm very worried about how people interact with other people. That worries me a lot.
It's true.
I think with
nowadays,
yeah, because I think most, to be a social influencer, interesting, they don't interact with people very much, right? Or they have their 2 or 3 people that are taking pictures and going with them. But they're not going out to parties and talking to people and really getting interested in others. It's very much about them. And much of the world is, even the people who are looking at them. And that worries me because part of what helped me through my whole ordeal in the hospital people, it's my ability to talk and get to know people and communicate and ask questions and really listen to the answers. Listen to comprehend, not listen to respond. Yeah, 2 different ways of listening even. And a lot of people that I see online, they don't have the ability to properly communicate. And that skill, I think, will continue to be in very, very high demand. The ability to communicate effectively. And great communicators. ChatGPT will not change that. AI will not change the ability
we are
to
so
communicate
afraid,
eventually.
but they will not change.
That will not change, yeah. So, yeah. You know,
Because the same sentence, but in totally different energy,
exactly.
has
Exactly.
totally different impact.
Exactly.
That's true.
So
That's
even when we talk about how to solve problems, I usually tell people, pick up the phone and talk with them. They said, yeah, but I saw the email. I said, but you don't know how they meant that sentence, right? They could have meant it as, I don't know. They could have meant it as, I think you need help, or I think you need help. You know, like I can help you. And you took it as, you think I'm an idiot, and they meant it as, no, I really want to help, because I'm a good person and I want to help you. But two ways of reading it. But that ability to communicate properly, it worries me. I was able to, as I spoke about it in my TED, I was able to talk with like hundreds of people during my time, 6 months in hospitals, hundreds of people. And I made very close friends. 2 physiotherapists that I'm still in touch with today, one from Mottol, one from Beroen. One from Beroen still comes to my house every couple of weeks, works on me, we do things together, it's great. Some of my doctors I'm still in touch with. A couple of the patients that I met, I'm still in touch with. It was, you know, for a shitty situation, I think I got a lot out of it.
It's true that I have sometimes in the business, because if you are like in your personal way, you do not care too much, because if you see a person you do not want to meet, it's fine, you do not need to meet him. But if you have like the co-owner or you have the colleague, and I am very, and it is the same what you are telling, I am so like sad if somebody is like behaving with another person like in an arrogant way. If you see how he behaves to the kind of last position in the company, and you see that he behaves like with a huge arrogancy, and then of course you see that usually these people are not so happy inside, and that you have to solve it somehow. But I think that everything is becoming this communication from that they do not believe in themselves. And
yes, many people they lack confidence, self-confidence.
Okay, maybe the self-confidence.
And therefore, yeah, they don't believe in themselves. Not to say that many people have this imposter syndrome where they should feel confident, but they don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you know imposter syndrome, but
I heard, but I do not know the structure. What is like telling?
Imposter syndrome is something that happens to.
I know poster syndrome. You put the poster.
This is imposter. To feel like you don't deserve the role that you have, that you're not good enough for the position. Nobody realizes that, and when they find out, you're screwed.
Okay.
And this feeling of being an imposter.
But it's more like in corporate business, like, or
all over.
in like
all over.
Really?
It's more prevalent in females than males, but I know many senior men, executives, CEOs, top-level people, they have imposter syndrome. They don't feel like they're good enough, and they're worried when somebody finds out they're going to be fired. So when I talk to, for example, mid-level small startup, I mentored a number of ladies in startups, and a couple of them, revealed to me that they feel this, and I said, "Hey, don't worry, I've had it. This guy's had it. She had it. The CEO of this company, she had it." Really? Yeah. There's some estimates, 60-65% of all senior executives, at some point in their career, they feel that they don't deserve the role, that nobody realizes that they're not as good as they think they are. So that feeling of imposter syndrome, that can be scary. And a lot of senior executives, the way that they respond to it is by treating other people like shit, which is not acceptable under any circumstances.
It's crazy.
And I would say it should be the opposite.
Yeah.
But they say that you can really judge a top manager or CEO by the way they treat the people at the lowest level.
Yeah.
And when they can actually talk with them and discuss and be normal, then you have somebody that can take the company to a good place. And the ones that only talk to this level of management and occasionally there and below that, I don't get involved.
It's crazy. But it's good that it looks that you didn't have it, because you are speaking with all the people. And even if you have it, it's so funny. Even if you have it, you know that the people, and I have noticed. I was like thinking about this in like philosophical way, that if I am feeling that I am loser, I wouldn't speak to another people in bad way because I would like to seek for the help or something. That it's really like so funny. Yeah.
But honestly, Peter, I've had it as well during my career. At certain periods, I felt like I don't think they know, but I'm not as good as this role and this job.
Maybe,
sure,
really.
Absolutely.
But maybe really, for me, I was in corporate business. I am like strange guy maybe because I do not care too much about the people, what they think about me. But of course, if I compare myself with Sylvia, who established the company, I believe that she would be better director than I am. Because she's like straight, I'm so soft, I know that many people would make this position better, but of course I am the owner, and I do not care because it's my company. But I understand, and of course, maybe if I speak, if I look for this, maybe I would find some nuances again, but I was lucky in this, that I had another issues, but everybody we have something, but this I didn't hear and I didn't know about it. But I
Look, I similar to you, I think my wife is better than me in many areas, business and management, many areas.
I believe that.
I would say luckily for us, we don't work in the same company.
We work.
I don't think we would be married anymore.
I believe that now, we would make it. Like
I don't know.
We are together 13 years.
We're together soon to be 20 years.
But I think like managing the company.
Okay.
Like 13 years, but and 2 children, like the little issues. You have 2 children as well. 2 big ones.
Big kids, big issues. I'm kidding. They're fine.
And one child, no child, 2 child, a group of children. 2 children, a group of children. They make a huge mess.
Exactly. Now, I think, as I said, I think in one of the comments, my wife is an amazing person. She's loving, kind, good, but tough. She's tough.
Yeah, they are tough.
She's tough. But that gives her a lot of pluses. It's what got her through my accident. It's what allowed her to go through it like a fucking rock star. Honestly, that woman and what she did, I only know a few other people I know of that could have got through it like she did, handling hospitals, doctors, transports, moves, insurance, my family, my mother, who's easy to deal with, but you still have to deal with her, our children, raising our children, one of them getting into gymnasium, all of this, and still towards me, she was just, yes, Milochko, we're trying. She was amazing. I never once, not a single time, did I ever hear one complaint or problem in 5 months.
Wow.
And I don't know many people who wouldn't at some point just say, Jesus Christ, this is just insane. Not one time. And she had those moments, by the way. She told me later, she shared with very close friends of hers.
But somewhere in the corner.
Exactly. And there's not many people that at some point don't feel that they need to somehow direct it to the person in the way that's causing it, right? My accident. She never did. And I will be eternally grateful that she kind of allowed me to live in my bubble, to get better. And that's why I said, she's my hero. Because while I just laid down and let them stick, sharp objects into me, that wasn't nice, but in a way, that's, I laid and they cut me and stuck me, and that was my job. She was out there doing it all.
It's crazy. Next time we will make the podcast with her as well.
She would come. If it was like this, she would come. If it's with a stage, definitely not. But she would come for a podcast. And I think from her you would hear some really interesting stuff. I think her view on it, it's always a little bit different. Definitely. Even her view on whatever. We're looking at the weather and I would say, it's beautiful, nice and sunny. And she would say, that's not what I see.
It's. I think that even if you sit here, the reality of everyone, it's totally different.
Yeah.
No, it's like it's true that sometimes we are really forgetting that. Okay, behind the strong man is even the stronger woman.
No
usually,
question. I agree.
We cannot be successful without great women behind, or not behind, but usually, if in the past it was like this.
Next to.
Now it's like next to because I'm sitting here as well just because of her. I wouldn't do maybe podcast, but not the chocolate.
Sure.
And sometimes I am grateful for that, but sometimes if I have like bad times as well, I'm telling something what is not good to tell, and just to make it more conscious. It's better. Okay, Blake, I think that you have to go. It's
Yes.
2:10 and I don't want to take
Okay.
your time. But we will make it next time. Maybe we can make it like in like 3 with your wife.
Sure.
When you have time.
Sure.
Because
I'd be
I
happy
think
to.
that it can be continued.
Really?
To be continued. No?
Yeah, to be continued.
To be
I would
continued.
love to see what she says about some of these topics. It would really interest me.
Maybe we can make some. I can be the mediator.
Yeah.
no, it's not a need mediator,
Yeah,
but they are
mediator,
telling the mediator,
exactly.
the moderator.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Peter. It was really enjoyable.
Like,
Yeah.
thank you, and really, you are the person who should be speaking more about that, and even to take your lovely wife and to tell to people that we can make things we do not even believe we can.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Sorry.
It was wonderful.
Thank you. Děkujem.
Děkujem.